100%, man.
Right.
Gabby, hey, Meta, how y'all doing?
Yeah, everything is fine.
I'm doing well. I hit record on this. I know I have a stack of recordings that I haven't shared yet, and I will go through and get that stuff posted. But I'm recording this.
Oh, nice,
Yeah, and
nice.
I've got like
Thank
a
you.
pile that I haven't got to share. It's on my
Yeah,
to do
Donna.
list. It's on my to do list.
Yeah, cool. No, Donna
Nice.
told me that she would like to have recorded because sometimes she can't make it, and I was going to suggest that maybe we can start trying to do it if someone would like to handle the logistic. But I didn't do you were already doing it.
I
Nice.
am, and they haven't followed up with the One Hive Radio, but I'm gonna start sending raw files to them, and they're gonna post on our YouTube, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm down to do it. I come to the meetings anyway.
Awesome. Cool. I think maybe we can wait if Sasha is joining, and then we can start.
Real quickly then, Gabby, there are some other
Yep.
things that are coming up in the Morphosis. Like ViViV has somebody from Eddie Jaloub's server to he's arranging for a GitHub teaching session for us, to help familiarize people with GitHub. And then I was talking to YGG at TEC about labs, and I'd mentioned that I'm doing crypto zombies for the 89th time. But he had said that it would be fun to do a lab with crypto zombies too. So that's something that just like going through it and just kind of like I don't know. When you put something up on the screen and you go through it with people, then they're more likely to actually go there and do it themselves, right?
Yep.
So those are a couple of things that I'm thinking about for the Morphosis. But this isn't the time to talk about it. I'm just letting you know.
Nice. Yeah. Let's think about it. We can think of next lessons on that. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. Let's go ahead and start. If someone showing they can. I share the agenda in the Gardens Challenge, but I will send it in the cafe as well. We don't have a lot of items. Most of them are from the last time, just to check in. And about logistic, reminders that we have now the sprint 15, and you can add your hours. And remember that we lock the the spreadsheet to only be by invites of your email. So if you don't are invited, send me a PM and I will share with you. And yeah, the payments for the sprint 13 and 14 were enacted, and we ran out of funds. I sent a few honey that were missing to enact this that were already for a couple of weeks. But we have to create a new proposal of founding. But anyway, we also have like 16.5K in stable amounts from the Polygon grant and the Gitcoin round 11. So I share it so you have it in mind in case you would like to receive payment in stable amounts or maybe part in stable amount and part in honey is also a possibility while we have this stable amount. And yeah, that's from logistics that we have. And yeah, I also include the Gardens one item to review again. The onboarding is ready for testing, so anyone is welcome to go ahead and test the UI. And I think we can start working on the walkthrough video. And I was going to suggest maybe Ted if you want to do it. Maybe there are some small things that we're gonna be updating on the UX, but I believe it's in a state that we can start considering this walkthrough similar video that we have in the homepage, but for the onboarding. And we already received some feedback yesterday from Gives that start to doing a test deployment of their garden on XI on using on the onboarding, and they share a few issues they include a few issues in the gardens repository, but the main thing is that having maybe this kind of video to show how it goes could help understand the whole process. And the other thing is consider if we would like to contact Milena, the UX researcher, to have this a new UX research with this onboarding, and yeah, this is a decision we have to make.
I'm happy to jump onto the video for what it's worth. Yeah, I'm good. Whatever you need from me, just let me know. I'm definitely down to do the video.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we already have the task, but it was blocked because we were finishing. But yeah, awesome.
I saw that some issues brought by Griff were some about wordings that I remember that we changed in purpose. For example, the common pool or the active amount. We did some changes on that name that for him is not too straightforward right now. Not sure if you saw the issues.
Yeah.
Are they on the Gardens repo?
Yeah, they are in the Garden repo. And, and yeah.
Do you have them up? Can you link in the cafe?
Yeah, sure. I'll link it.
Yes.
Yeah. I think someone else was going to say something. Or?
Can you screen share? It would just make the video more interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I'll do. Give me 1 second.
Not to be that cranky photographer or something.
Yeah.
Or actually, I can if it's giving you issue. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe I'm reducing my screen size because I have a bigger size than usual. Do you see the screen?
Yes, beautiful. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, the issues were this threshold. These three are the one that one is to why the delegation is in the advanced settings. This could be discussed and decided if we will move it out from the advanced. They fix this message because common pool are not total supply, and I think he's right because it's not the percentage of the total supply. The requested amount is from the common pool. I think this is correct. And yeah, the minimum active supply, active stake. Yeah, but it's a bit confusing, this wording. That's what they suggest. But yeah, these are the three main things.
Yeah, I mean that's a discussion that's been going on for a long time. I still think it should be called the minimum active stake, but whatever.
Yeah. yeah. And from that, yeah, someone has some thoughts on the UX research, or should we do it? Should we wait for a V1 and do everything together? Or
probably we can do it a big one later, right? When we finish more stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense. And yeah, finally, the priorities on this item are keep doing the decision voting delegate UI, and the settings UI are the things. And yeah, fixing a few of the suggestions and bugs, but yeah. Someone want to add something else on this?
I saw the price oracle function. That's pretty nice. Good job.
Yeah, that was all work from Pavel, and yeah, I think it's really cool how it went. Anyway, I think this maybe some better explanation once people start doing it, because both Bright ID had a bit of issues with it, and I think also Givet when they tried to execute a stable reversal for the first time, they didn't understand what was happening. But yeah, I think with the Oracle update, it's going to be much easier.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty sweet. One other thing I've realized actually looking at the template is I'm not sure that one of the options that the template allows is for you to specify the common pool token in a token that's different to the gardens token, right? Does the UI adjust for that at the moment? Like with the UI and that bar across the top, like what would the honey what price would it show to begin with? Like the common pool request token or the garden token, and then the token supply, and what would that be? Would that be presumably that would be the token supply of the garden token? But yeah, anyway, the template as it is, if someone specifies a different token, I'm not sure UI will be able to. Does anyone have any insight about that?
You mean when we do a different request token, the Oracle should be different?
Yeah, so there's two things. I mean, that's actually something that I haven't implemented, but basically, if the request token is different to the garden token, for a start, you kind of need to update two Oracle, two token pairs on the price Oracle. You need to update the stable token with the request token and the stable token with the garden token. You need to update the stable token with the request token so that conviction voting stable proposals can be processed. And you need to update stable token garden token so that the collateral requirements for challenging a proposal can be updated. But at the moment, I mean, no one's using a different token to the garden token, so for the request token, so it isn't really a problem.
Yeah, I think we are not handling that on the UI, but yeah, I will create an issue for it.
In the meantime, maybe I don't know if it's included in the wizard, but maybe in the meantime, remove from the wizard like the option to specify a different request token to the vendors, to the garden token basically, or the existing token in an existing token organization. Those two organizations still work fine. If you create a native token, you specify, or if you just basically specify a different token, it's be annoying. It's not going to work.
Cool.
Another thing to bring up is, do we want to add the like now we've reviewed the Gnosis safe integration. Do we want to add the option to specify Gnosis safe to the garden creation wizard?
Yeah. With the APR handling that. But before I'm currently updating the subgraph, so we handle the new interface and also make it backwards compatible with all already created gardens. But yeah, we should definitely do that.
Cool.
We also need to update the UI for fetching the balance. How we fetch the balance for the common pool, we need to fetch from the function manager now.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Thanks. Okay.
No,
I
that's
include a few issues for that. Yep.
yeah.
Fabry, what were you doing over there?
Sorry.
He doesn't even know, guys.
No,
It's just
there
us.
is some kind of interference, like when you were talking with a handy, that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe a microphone or something. Do you still hear it?
No, it's like in a random
Yeah.
time.
Don't worry, I think it's fine. It's all good.
Sorry about
Just
that.
mute when you're not talking.
Yeah. Okay. On the next item is to briefly touch on the onehive.org site that work on this alternative landing page that looks really really cool. And yeah, we should think if we want to if this is something we want to update right away. And the suggestion made was having maybe a governance link somewhere where we are also able to link directly to the OneHive governance. But yeah, wonder what are your thoughts on that, and if we should go ahead with it.
Is there any reason because we are not using kind of the garden colors? Just wondering.
Yeah, so the way this thing works is like if you're familiar with Linktree, it's basically, it's like an NFT link tree. So there's very limited, like the parameters are the text on the left. So there's like two text sections on the left, one that's got this pulsing color. You can customize any of the language there, but you can't control font color, font size. It's pretty much locked. So you can add some language or change it there, tweak it if you wanted to, and then you can just add these links on the right with like a really brief description, and then it just puts them in a list, and you can reorder them. But that's it in terms of the functionality. It was just thinking, if I'm meeting all these new people, and onehive.org is a great domain, if it just directs them here where they can access all these things in a list until we get a landing, like a proper landing page running. This was just the idea. It's actually an NFT, like the domain or whatever. So it could be transferred to like a DAO wallet or something like that if you want to.
What does that mean that the domain is an NFT? Like the y.at thing is. What does that mean?
Yeah, I can share on my screen if it's easier because I have like the edit permissions. I don't claim to understand it at like a technical level, but they're on OpenSea. So like I think it functions like a domain name, but then they have this built-in feature where you can like give it an animated GIF as a background, and then people post it to OpenSea, and somehow when there's transference from the wallet address, it gives you editing permissions, for the domain itself, the links and all that.
So does that mean anyone can pay and edit the domain if they want?
Only if we wanted to sell it, and like it's unique, right? So the sequence of emojis is I think like what is like the one that you see there where you have the 5 different emojis and the order in which they're in, like that can't be replicated. Like this is the only yet, right, of that combination of emojis. And they're like, whatever, they've pushed this with celebrities. If you want to get the 2 emoji yet, you got to like call them and pay them out the ass for 2 emojis, whatever. This is a cool thing. I thought it might work as a nice stand-in, temporarily. And it's sort of crypto native, which is neat.
I definitely think that we should get the OneHive branding is important. I don't know if we're going to gain enough by having like crypto native NFT domains when we're sacrificing our brand image for it. And that site, like the the layout is really nice. It would be pretty easy to put that together in Webflow and just make it OneHive branded pretty quickly. I think I would prefer if we did that.
I'm all
Personally,
for the landing page, man. Yeah, I'm all for it. Like I just think we need something, ASAP. So this is when I say temporary, I mean that, until that is done, until there's something that we can capture branding. Because I'm just like onehive.org right now. If people come to the governance platform, they don't have enough. They might not have enough context to like find their way to other things, right? So, but Paul, man, I'm not familiar with what was it? Workflow? What? Sorry.
Webflow, yeah.
Webflow. I say, scope it out, and you know what I mean. We could just put up a quick proposal to compensate somebody for their time. I don't think this should be necessarily paid out of the garden's budget, but maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know. But go for it, man. I'll help where I can.
Yeah, is that something that you can work on it currently?
This was built on Webflow as well. So you can like do all this arrange it's like a move and you can move around things, and it's quite simple.
Right, yeah. And this
Oh, yeah.
this is also something I've been meaning to update, this landing page. But yeah, I can put something together in Webflow trying to mirror the look and feel of the y.at. But then we can also, as a stand-in, we can.
Well,
we
but
can put
let
that
me
in.
say, like, I'm not wedded at all. I don't think I think the layout looks nice. I don't love the Yat layout. You know what I'm saying? It's more like sort of top of the funnel. Somebody's new. Here's all the links and things we built, places you can explore. But like, I don't love the layout necessarily. I think the honeyswap.org website, like that landing page, is super nice. I think if you could use that and just sort of repurpose it for a more broader, OneHive landing page, it's everything you need, like right up there at the top, just to start with. And it's similar to the Gardens one, right? It's top navigation with a couple of key buttons and a nice graphic,
Yeah. Yeah. The last thing I want to do is slow anything down by saying that I would like it to be a certain way. So, I think something that's good enough that can happen now is nice.
Well, if you're doing onboarding, I think it goes hand in hand with that, man. Like, go for it. I don't have the time personally right now to do it, but I would, I think it sounds great.
Cool.
Where is this likely to be linked from, or what URL is this going to be put up, or expected to be put up? Is this like onehive.org?
Yeah, onehive.org.
Oh yeah, it says in the agenda. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm not so struck on putting this at onehive.org personally either. I think it would be better if I think what is currently like our DAO would be better to be linked to personally at the moment, and we make a more detailed landing page at some point, hopefully soon. But that's just my preference.
When you say our DAO, do you mean like the current Honeypot page, or Gardens, or the OneHive DAO on Gardens?
The OneHive DAO on Gardens.
Yeah, I would like that.
Yeah, this is just an idea that I tossed out. I made it to like share sort of with other people that I'm trying to educate on OneHive. But yeah, if we want to wait, let's wait and do a landing page proper, whatever whatever people think is good. We could do a quick vote in chat. It's entirely, whatever we think is best.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I think it's if I may, it's key we solve this as soon as possible, because from recent from Nathan's paper that's been written on us and Vitalik's response, it's very clear that people find it very hard to figure out what we are and what we do, and that's linked to the landing page being essentially just our DAO honeypot interface. So I'm in favor of, I think what TUL shared is significantly better than linking directly to the DAO, and I think that we should work on something better, but we should think about how long that will take, and it might be worth thinking to something simple in the short term that's quick, something like what T-Wells has done, if not that, because it's clearly a problem that people have. This is not just what's been written about us, it's with interactions. I think we all feel it with interactions with people. Like, it's very hard to direct someone somewhere that explains what we're about. So I'm in favor of setting a deadline on when we want to have a new landing page and then funding it. And I think this should be prioritized. And if that deadline is short enough, then there's no need to link directly to what T-Wells has done. But if we think it's going to take a while, then I would advocate for linking to something quick first.
Yeah, I'll just chime in with one more sort of comment here. Building off what Sasha said, I think that like a proper landing page is a super big deal, and it's really important. But the type of thing that I would envision is going to take a little bit of time to build. So the question is, like, how do you bridge over? Yeah, it's sort of, what is the right stopgap measure? Is it something that you can just have like a simplified drag and drop type website build? I don't know if that is exactly what you're referring to, but like if you can spin something like that up in 48 hours, I'm in favor of doing that and not losing the brand value. Like, I hear that, but maybe the question becomes, if we're going to build a bigger sort of landing page with a lot of functionality, what is the best intermediary step that's better than what we got?
Yeah. Since the landing page is pretty important, I will just came up with some design, setting a time frame of 1 day to decide between the different designs and discuss, and then just start to do it, estimate it, and just continue with the work. I don't think that we have like a super thin time frame to do it. Like, we don't need it in 2 days nor 3 days.
I think we needed this 6 months ago, to be fair. The sooner the better.
Yeah,
Good, Paul.
Yeah, something now is better than nothing again for another 2 to 3 weeks. But yeah, I think T-Wells, I do think like there should be a bigger scoped project to do this. I could build something in Webflow for sure in the next 2 to 3 days that I could show everyone, and
That's good.
Yeah, and
ping me, man. Just ping me. Let's sync on that, man. Just ping me. We could probably, I think we could probably knock that out real quick.
Nice.
We'll
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Cool.
Monday. think.
Yeah, so I guess we could just like jot down, like, forget the ad. Paul and I will take a look at this. I think we could get something up that satisfies the need. I'm looking at this now, the tool I think we could do this. So we could have something to share. Yeah, I mean, well before next week, probably. Well, let's not overpromise, Paul. What do you think, man? Like, I think we could do this by the end of this coming weekend, like, and have something that would be functional, or before that.
Yeah, I think that's realistic. Yeah.
Okay. So let's shoot like no later than this meeting next week. We should have something that like can serve as a landing page stand-in, just as like a
Nice.
takeaway. That would be awesome.
Awesome.
We can iterate over it as well. Yasij, can you mute yourself, please? Yasij. No? Okay. Anyway, yeah, that would be great. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Cool. Is there someone that want to share something else on that? Okay. Yeah, the next item is the Garden multi-chain. And this is for sharing that we have deployed the Aaron infrastructure on the SAGRaph to Polygon and Mumbai. There are, I think, still a few things like the Honey token and the Celeste UI, because I think you deploy only a mock, no? Will to continue the.
I haven't deployed Celeste. No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, the next thing will be to decide if we wait for the Honey migration or use the old Honey token. And I'm not sure if you have time, Will, to think a bit more about it, and if you want to share some of your thoughts.
To be honest, not really. The thing is I mean, we still can't really do the Honey migration until. Well, we need to decide whether we're going to migrate to Ethereum. And I know Sasha had some thoughts and some objections to migrating the Honey token to Ethereum, even in the short term. And moving the governance infrastructure to Arbitrum, of course, we've still got to wait until their bridge becomes permissionless anyway. So if we want to migrate the Honey token to Ethereum anyway, like I said, we could redeploy our garden on XDAI, so that it would use the new Honey token and conviction voting and to vote with and all that. But it would require some investigation, and it would require some development so that we can use the XDAI bridge effectively to submit issuance or to update issuance basically on mainnet that happens on XDAI. So we can do this, but I haven't investigated it. Yeah, I in all honesty, I'm not entirely sure what the best path is, whether we should move to Ethereum or not in the short term. I think probably we should, but
do we want to set kind of a more global meeting or something to decide on this, so we can move forward with the migration if we are going to do it?
Yeah, we should do. I mean, like I said, we've got to wait until the Arbitrum bridge becomes permissionless before we would ever move our governance infrastructure there anyway. And that hasn't happened yet, and it probably won't happen for a little while. But we could migrate Honey prior to then. We would just have to do some more work to get and redeploy the DAO on XDAI to use the new Honey token. But yeah, I mean, if we are going to do it, we should do it sooner rather than later, because everyone who creates gardens are going to create liquidity with
the old token. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
If we are going to do it, it needs to be before the really official launch of
the
gardens.
And What was the in a discussion we had with all the community, one of the options that were thought about the Bitcoin migration was to create like the token on mainnet and then do the migration on XI, no?
Yeah. I mean, the migration process, that's how the migration will work. It's just whether or not we actually do it is the question. Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't know. I think we probably should.
Are there some people against doing migrating?
No, not really. It's just, I mean, Sasha's mentioned that Ethereum doesn't necessarily seem like the best long-term solution for various reasons. But besides that, no. And yeah, if we do decide to do it, then we'll have to do a little bit more work on. If we want to do it now, then we should do some more work on redeploying our garden on XDAI, basically, and write the necessary code to interface with the bridge so that it can update issuance. Yeah, Sasha, do you have any input?
Yeah, I mean, I have I guess a contrarian opinion here in that, I mean, as someone who works with an Ethereum client team, so I work with Nimbus and sort of in the engineering on the ETH2 development, I can see how complex this merge software is, and I don't want to go into a long philosophical discussion, but there are two things that stand out to me as why it might be better to take a wait and see approach. The first is the sheer complexity of the client software and the potential for things to go wrong. The second is the fact that the Ethereum culture and philosophy seems to be what I would describe as moving us towards a shared security model that is coercive, in the sense that you either are a roll-up and pay for shared security, or you're kind of considered a second-class nation within the Ethereum ecosystem. And I think that that mindset is severely limited, and it has its roots in the assumption that Ethereum is the best and most decentralized layer one. But I think that's a myth that actually, when you take a magnifying glass to it, doesn't necessarily hold true. For example, right now on the Beacon chain, 8 entities have control over more than 33% of validators, which means that essentially 8 entities can cause a blackout, similar to the internet blackout we saw the other day with Facebook. Like, it's not clear that the system we're building is going to be that much more resilient. I'm especially worried about state coercion and things like that. But what I'm trying to get at here is, it's not clear that Ethereum is going to be the most decentralized and most resilient thing going forward. And by going forward, I mean over the next decade, right? I'm not talking about the next year or even 2. And this coercive shared security model means that you're going to have to pay a premium. Rollups are going to have to pay a premium, essentially, to pay for this security that actually, from a independent keys perspective, is not all that secure. The other one thing that is subtle, but I'm beginning to piece together here, is there's 3 things, right, where put together I'm the outcome of how these three things interact. I'm not sure if it ends well. And the first is movement to proof of stake. The second one is deflationary issuance. And the third one is coercive shared security. And how these three things interplay here is that I think Ethereum may well be creating a world where essentially the rich get richer and the early adopters get wealthier, and the private institutions that run most of the validators benefit disproportionately ad infinitum almost, because there's no reason why you would have to sell your ETH in a deflationary environment under proof of stake where everyone has to pay you for security. And so how the long run effects of that, my intuition there is that people that haven't yet been exposed to crypto will choose to build on other chains that do not have this wealth extraction dynamic and rich get richer dynamic. And one ecosystem that I find particularly interesting within that philosophy is Cosmos, because they don't enforce a shared security model. You're a first-class citizen. They don't take this myopic view of rollups, that rollups have to be bridged to the main Ethereum chain. The view is that rollups are their own sovereign independent chains that can be bridged to whichever other chains that they wish to. And that gives you the freedom to opt into a shared security model, but also you can be sovereign. If that shared security model is being abused, you can say, actually, I'm going to look after my own security. So it's a subtle but like really powerful difference going forward, which prevents kind of the an aristocracy of validators from cementing itself and essentially extracting rent in a way that isn't conducive to the health of the ecosystem. The other thing that I think is really interesting about Cosmos is it has a hardly inflationary base layer currency, which also encourages ecosystem growth over the long term and discourages hoarding wealth. So it has a counter effect to the increasing wealth of early adopters. So recap, I mean, sorry, I've just thrown a lot out there and there's a lot more I can say, but I'm not sure anymore that Ethereum, well, I'm 100% convinced that Web3 will not just be Ethereum, it'll be much bigger. There will be sort of 4 or 5 base layer chains that will be as important. And I'm not convinced that the game theory of how Ethereum plays out, I'm not convinced that it plays out in a way that's conducive to the sustainability of the ecosystem that builds on top of it. And within that context, I think it's if we're thinking about building, a 100-year DAO or a multi-decade DAO or even a DAO that spans a decade, I think we'd be wise to think hard before committing to this, or at least if we commit to this, be prepared that we might have to shift again in the future. And within that context, I'm doing research on Cosmos and what that would mean. And I know Luke actually had some documents that he wrote up that he shared with me. I think this was before I joined OneHive or started participating, but it seems like Cosmos and OneHive had spoken before and there was some work done there, and I need to dig into that a bit. But to sum up, I think we should remain open-minded, and before committing to this, we should really make the case for why we shouldn't, and then and make the case for why we should, and then outline what are our options and what are our timelines, and really do this in the right way.
Cool, thanks. I have a couple of questions that you can answer offline to don't extend too much this combo. But The first is how that environment that you described that is going to happen on Ethereum differentiates from where we live now, where we have a bunch of validators that we need to trust on them. The second one is before moving to another chain, we need to make sure that we are not going to move to a chain that is being used less than XDAI, because that might kill the project. So I understand a bunch of the philosophy stuff on the topic, but I think that in order for OneHive to keep alive, we also need to be very careful about where we are moving. But yeah, you can
I agree.
answer on the cafe.
And just quickly on the second point, I agree with you completely. And this falls under that umbrella. We have to be careful of where we're moving, and that includes to Ethereum mainnet, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And to the first question, I didn't really understand it, but we can take it offline if it's a long one.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your thoughts, Sasha. And
yeah, thank you.
It's in the near term, the original motivation behind building on Arbitrum and also on Polygon is just to reduce our kind of risk on. We're so XDAI based right now that our success is in so many ways dependent on XDAI's success, and if we can at least share that risk to the Arbitrum and Polygon networks quickly, I think our near-term goal should be to just reduce the exposure of Gardens and OneHive to the success of one specific Ethereum chain. So I think we should be thinking about a migration and Arbitrum and Polygon build out in relation to reducing that risk.
yeah, I agree with Paul on that, and I want to mention that at least on I see two things in here that are being brought up. One is the security of OneHive and long-term sustainability of the project, and I think the migration to mainnet might not be necessary against that possibility of moving again if that proved to be a wrong decision, or in the future to not be the place we have to be. But on the other hand, I think on the point that Paul made, being on a mainnet Ethereum asset is also a great way to prevent, if we want to go to other chains, to not be an asset that is native to XDAI. But yeah, that's I think one of the aspects that we were not mentioning as well. And yeah, wonder your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I guess my question for Will then would be how he envisions, like the a build out for OneHive and Gardens that most shares the our network across Arbitrum, Polygon, and XDAI in a way that kind of leverages the three of them for good. And if that makes sense.
I mean, we can still deploy all of our infrastructure on Polygon and Arbitrum, and leave Honey on XDAI, and leave our issuance process and our garden on XDAI. there's just a bit more like if XDAI doesn't develop into a more secure platform or network, then I think like inevitably we'll have to migrate eventually. Maybe XDAI will do all right, I don't know. But it doesn't look like they're going to make any plans different to the way that Ethereum are, so they'll probably be subject to the same risks. Yeah, I mean, in the meantime, like we could argue that we could take a wait and see approach, and we'll just put off the migration, and we can just deploy everything to Polygon and Arbitrum using the Honey token on XDAI as it is. And we'll just be effectively at risk from the XDAI validators colluding and choosing to undermine our sort of infrastructure. I don't think it's necessarily any. I don't think we have any necessarily have any less like market reach, I suppose, than if we move to Ethereum. We might do a little bit. Some savvy sort of apps might notice that our token is on XDAI and sort of puts the Celeste instances on Arbitrum and Polygon at a little bit more risk because of that, because the XDAI validators could collude, create Honey, and kind of capture those Celeste instances to some degree much more easily than if our token was on Ethereum. But otherwise, I don't think that the sort of the smaller cap apps really will be affected. Will have any kind of will be affected by the fact that we're still on XDAI, I suppose, by the fact that our Honey token is still on XDAI. Billy Jitsu, can you mute, please? Thanks. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So yeah, that sounds great. If we can be deployed on all three chains, and you don't see kind of like a longer term issue with doing that before migrate. I guess I just didn't understand like how necessary the Honey migration to mainnet is on the like how a cross chain gardens would work. But it sounds like it sounds like security is the main issue. It's not really user friendliness or accessibility.
No, I mean, I think it would be nice if Honey was on mainnet for a few reasons. It might become a bit more of a popular sort of currency. It might be possible to get it on some centralized exchanges at some point. I think while it's on XDAI, these probably are unlikely to happen. Yeah, I kind of think that if it was on Ethereum, there's a chance it could become a bit more valuable, which could be useful for various reasons, but because it's a little bit more accessible. But that isn't necessary. It doesn't necessarily have to be the case. We could just like individually try to provide liquidity to some exchanges, some dexes on Ethereum to make it a little bit more accessible there. But yeah, otherwise, like we can deploy it to Polygon and Arbitrum, and everything can work just the way that it is now. It's just that the fundamental security will be a little bit sort of restricted less.
Yeah, liquidity we need no matter what. Once we're building these first gardens, we're going to need more Honey liquidity on Polygon and Arbitrum, and we're going to need to get our gardens projects to be liquid also. I guess that's another question.
We can address that later. I think it's probably not such a hard thing actually for some of us. Maybe the seed members can put up a reasonable amount of liquidity on some of these networks. So we can probably figure that out when the time comes.
Nice, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Great discussion. And so the current intention is to try to reuse the whole Honey token and see the and try to and deploy the rest of the infrastructure that is left to Gardens. And once we have more feedback, maybe consider the migration process in a future time. But yeah, let's continue with that in mind, and I see future discussions that are against it happen, we can address it there. Then, but yeah, I agree that. Yeah.
Sorry, Gabby, you go.
No, I was going to say that I agree with Paul that it's important to also keep open to be in these other networks, and yeah, it seems that the honey migration might take more time than we, and it's not clear that the whole process is gonna be easy to execute. So yeah, I think those are the two trade-off there. But yeah, go ahead, Sasha.
No, I think Paul's like absolutely right. Like we need to deploy our infrastructure ASAP on Polygon and Arbitrum. I'd love to start like to recap. I just think we need to think hard about whether we migrate and where we migrate to, and we have to sort of push against this sort of tunnel vision that Ethereum is Web3, because it's sort of this echo chamber that it's very hard for us to see outside of, because we're so ingrained in it. But if we look outside, if you step out and look outside, you see that it's not. It's going to be a core part of Web3, but it's not going to be Web3, and we have to sort of think what our values are, and what is the place where we can call home that is most aligned with that, in my opinion, that we can be happy with over the next decade and onwards. And I'd love to start some sort of working group where we can put these things through and challenge each other's assumptions and really try and get to the truth of things, because I think that's the only way we really make sure we get to the right decision. And if anyone wants to be a part of that, I'm also going to tag Luke as well, because I think his insights are extremely valuable, and he has done some work looking at other chains in the past. And so I think, yeah, I'm proposing that we start sort of a weekly or maybe bi-weekly is enough sync on that, where we can share thoughts and challenge each other's ideas. And so if anyone wants to be a part of that, just let me know. But to link that to what Paul said, I don't think that should slow down deploying on other chains, and the sooner we do that, the better.
Okay, cool. I'd be interested in being part of your group, and it sounds like that for the time being, the best thing for us to do is to just deploy. Don't wait for migration. Deploy everything, and just get everything. Yeah, make everything accessible, and then when we do ultimately have to migrate, it will just be a little bit more difficult for users. But ultimately, the fact that we're on those chains and we're getting exposure is definitely more valuable than the difficulty that is likely to be induced by migrating later. So yeah, I think that makes sense. Does that sound reasonable to all for the time being?
No, I think it's right for now. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Nice.
Cool. We can think of tasks left on the deployment, and I think we need to migrate to Arbitrum, the Honey token. And okay, the last item is the board review, but we are already top on the hour. So anyone that want to go, feel free to it, and we will continue reviewing the board and doing some task assignments. So yeah, if Here's the board. We have. I start doing the review of the dark mode that Pavel did to include it in the also in the changes, and I think it's almost everything is ready. And we have a few changes made already, but we also include several new features like the update UI. Let me show you quickly. So one of the features we now have is the option to see the Oracle Honey price, and if this is ready to be updated, I can update it here and receive a small reward for that and keep the Oracle update. And that's really cool. And we also have a feature that was already implemented of having a few sorts here and filters.
Does that need to say more on every option? Could it not just say proposals, members, liquidity? Like,
oh yeah, we can update it. Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm open to suggestions, but like typically, I wouldn't have expected to see more on the front of filters or also order.
Yeah, good point on that. And yeah, also the creation wizard is ready. You can, if you want, I can show really quick. Otherwise, you can also test it by yourself. But yeah, let's continue then with the review. And we have the version 1 tasks that need to be addressed first. There was one thing with the deployment that is a priority to we already discussed with Fabio, but yeah, that was happening. And yeah, this is the task for creating the video that I was mentioning, Ted. But yeah, you were already assigned, but now I think it's ready to start. Then
okay, cool.
Awesome. Yeah, then we have a few tasks that I think Striker was doing. I'm not sure if you have some progress, or should I move them to some of them to in progress?
Yeah, you can move that to in progress. Yes, sir.
This one, good. Yeah, I think this is.
Yeah, I spent some time with that past couple of days, but like we said, Honeypot was down as well for a couple of days. There,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think
in progress. Yeah.
This as well. All right. Yeah.
This one too. Yeah. So that one I've been working on and made some good progress the past 2 days. I actually like it. So yeah, hooking using Passport as well as Express to get a token with the API so that it can populate the gardens / servers / guilds or whatever on the sidebar. So getting close on that one.
Nice.
But yeah, progress. Like it.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah. This one is maybe still in the not yet in progress. No. Yeah. I keep it in the sprint backlog always. This one, Fabri, you have an update, or should I keep them or move it to
No.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, sorry
No,
about that.
update also. Sorry.
I thought I was talking. Sorry, I was on mute. But about the clickable items, yeah, this one. So I can get with you later on this one, but that looks to be done. So, but you can put it in progress for sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And yeah, this is the backend service. This is
Yeah, I was looking at it, but then I moved to Sprint Backlog because
yeah.
I need to to fix it because I couldn't continue with the creation step, the wizard creation. But yeah, after it fixed, I just moved to Spring Backlog to look it afterwards.
Nice. Yeah. This-
Could you assign me?
yeah, I will. Cool. I think this one. Yeah, I think this is nice to have more than. Yeah, then we have a few. Yeah. Yeah, I think this one, maybe, Rodri, you want to take it? Because I think this one is to reuse the multi-chain
Yes.
changes
Yeah. Yeah.
to only have the reloading page.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's, yeah. Also, I believe you also fixed the issue with the profile showing popping up every time. And instead,
Yeah, it's only going to show once.
nice. Yeah, this is a bug, but do we have a way to fix it?
Yeah, we need to update the connector.
Okay, the connector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you move
Oh, sorry?
that one to the sprint backlog?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Good point. Yeah, this one, I think we need to check it out, but all challenge proposals give an error. We can also include in the backlog, but yeah, I think this one is gonna be really important as well to have like decimal precision on the conviction voting slider, as I think small conviction voting stake is, I think, is gonna be needed like 1%, 0.1, 0.5. So if someone to add it, take it in. Yeah, this one. Yeah, this one is one that is been there for a while. But I think the other thing that is important, but I didn't put it like a version 1, but this should be a version 1 as well. But yeah, like implement a delegate voting on decision proposal. I need to add a few more items in this epic, but I think it's kind of. I was wondering what you think of having like maybe something like what the Tally project has. Tally, like something like a page or similar that has all the something like top voters like this, where you have like how much total voting power they have, and you can delegate like to that address. But yeah, something similar to this. And then yeah, when they vote on the decision proposal, yeah, show them send it to transaction like the vote on behalf if they have more than people that are delegated to them. Do you think that's a good approach to that?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think someone want to. I'm not sure if you have some work you want to keep track, Will, about the NFT gardens or something you need from. I include a few new items related to update the connector and the UI
Nice.
to support that. But
No, that's cool. So basically, with the NFT gardens, I mean, I think I'm going to deploy to Mumbai a very custom template that will only suit their particular needs, because their NFT is going to be, it's not really going to work well with already deployed NFTs that can't integrate this hook function, basically, like the Mini-Me token, like transfer. So, but I mean, currently I'm I'm just deploying to Mumbai, the test network, and then I'll try and deploy to Polygon. One of the things that it occurs to me is like Polygon doesn't have the HoneySwap on Polygon doesn't have a lot of interest or liquidity. I mean, presumably we still want to use HoneySwap on Polygon for gardens.
We can.
But I worry that maybe the price oracles for gardens, because of the lack of liquidity and interest in using HoneySwap, is going to be a bit inaccurate at times. I'm not really sure.
Why don't we use QuickSwap?
Yeah, I mean, we could do, but then we've also deployed all of this infrastructure, and I don't know what OneHive as a whole thinks about using or having gardens creators on Polygon using QuickSwap instead of.
Yeah, I think also
instead of HoneySwap.
I will exposure for us doing something with them using their API. Or they mention us something could be interesting.
Yeah,
Because
it could be nice as well.
it's really not being used as HoneySwap value.
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, like HoneySwap really, I mean, I don't know what's going on in the Tulip chat these days. I haven't paid much attention, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of development there.
Right.
And I mean, it's not something that, yeah, I mean, I certainly don't have the time to support it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but anyway, for the time being, I'll probably deploy it to Polygon using HoneySwap. But it's something that we can think about. Yeah, and otherwise, yeah, I'm gonna also just deploy it for the time being using this this alternatives mock Celeste implementation, so that we can. So that basically, I'm going to deploy everything so it just works for Maroon 5, and then for their NFTs set up, and then figure out deploying everything for you, like deploying standard gardens to Polygon afterwards.
Cool.
Just because the Maroon 5 thing is going to be so customized.
Is there something you need to other than the update of the UI and the connector?
No, not really. No, I think the UI. Yeah, so what I'm battling with at the moment is whether or not they should be able to make requests in a stable token, or whether they should only be able to make requests. Make requests using a stable token amount rather than just whatever token it is that they put in there. But I've asked their developer. I'm trying to work out what currency they're going to distribute using this method, and they haven't replied to me yet. So. Yeah, so maybe we might want to disable on the UI the ability for proposals to be created using using a stable amount, basically, because the problem is they won't have a price oracle because I mean they won't have a price oracle because the token, like the garden token, isn't going to have any value, basically, because it's only going to be used to make proposals, at least initially. But I mean, still deploy a price oracle, which can be paired with a stable token and whatever token is being requested through the funding app, and then we could have that updatable via the UI. That's probably what I'll do. But and that can be used in conviction voting to enable stable request proposals. But yeah, it's all just a bit confusing because it's a bit difficult because ultimately HoneySwap is not on Mumbai. Like I can't get a price oracle from Mumbai because there's no HoneySwap deployment there basically, and there's no Uniswap V2 deployment basically. So I'm thinking about mocking it. Anyway, don't worry, I'm still thinking about it. But I think I'm going to deploy like the Maroon 5 setup on Polygon and on Mumbai, and then think about deploying the rest of Gardens a bit like once that's done.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, someone else has something to add on, or there is some task you want to take from the board, or you would like to.
Sorry, you still sorry, what did you say?
No, I mean if someone else want to take would like to take some task, or otherwise we can think it's.
Yeah,
we have several P1 tasks that need to happen, but yeah. Good. I think we can end up here, and if you, feel free to send me a message if you want to collaborate and you don't know where to start. And yeah, we will be also trying to update the onboarding documentation in the next week and this week.
I just wanted to say, I just wanted to say you guys are doing incredible work. Lauren, Mitch, and I went through and tried to make it Gardens. We got stuck at the last step, but the onboarding experience was really fantastic. Really loved what you guys did with conviction voting graphs, and I think it was fantastic work, and it was really fun and really well documented. Always it's very complicated. There's always things that can improve, but honestly, I know how hard it is. So it's just like great work, guys. Amazing work.
Thanks, Riff. Means a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Riff.
Yeah, we will fix that, and because I think the lunch part was really cool as well. So yeah, if anyone has something else to add, go for it. Otherwise, we can see you in the next week.
Bye bye.
Thanks you guys.
See you.
Bye bye.
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 See you. Good night.